Wow, we actually really ruined this thing's steez. How did this happen? The thing's rolling over. Hello everyone who just likes to hang out on the sunny shores of Eriwick. I am BorderWise and welcome back to From the Depths, and a rather special and fun video, or at least I hope it's fun. It's certainly special because I haven't done this before. It is the the after-action report of a fleet that I've made. Now, as some of you might have noticed, I have finished my Steel Sovereigns playthrough. It took way longer than I thought it would because, like, when I started, it was just a demo. And then the campaign was declared that no more would be done on it, so the demo became the full campaign. But ye gods, it was a long demo. It took me a while. But I built a specific fleet to take on Steel Sovereigns, the Pale Fleet, which started with a gimmick, which is... what if you just picked 2 structural materials in From the Depths and just built your fleet around that? Is like, that was the primary thing you used. I kind of failed the premise because it turns out that's really hard to do and also not advisable if you actually want to get a campaign done. That's possibly why Steel Sovereigns took so long, but I had a lot of fun with it and I learned stuff. I have a fondness for glass cannons now, an appreciation for them, in fact. And that was kind of the whole point of building the Pale Fleet, was to force myself to learn how to make a really good glass cannon, because From the Depths, it kind of favors that playstyle, much like real-life warfare, actually. Like, you don't need armor if you kill the other guy first, especially before he even shoots you. But we're gonna go in, like, reverse date order here, so we've got the Pale Fleet, at least all the functional stuff. I'm gonna start at the bottom, work our way to the top. And I think this... We'll see how we go for timing. I don't want this to be too long. We're going to start with the stuff that actually has worked and actually did decent service, or at least not terrible service. But, oh boy, I have a whole retired craft folder here as well, which we'll go into as well, because there's nothing more fun than roasting your past self for your mistakes. So, we're going to start with this thing right here on the bottom, and this is the harvester I used throughout the entire campaign. It's not tremendously exciting. It's simply called the Ice Floe, because we ended up with kind of just a snow and ice kind of theming with this, for no other reason than I used white paint for everything. That's kind of it. And as you can tell, like, this thing is made entirely of wood. Block counter is all wood beams, and that's basically it. It just has just entirely made out of wood because it's a non-combat vehicle. It doesn't really need anything else. It's got wood, it's got rubber, that's it. And it hums along actually decently quick. This is an important thing, that this thing didn't need to be incredibly fast, but it did need to be fast enough to run away from stuff. And I think there's more than once, thinking back on Steel Sovereigns and also playtesting my own custom campaign, Plutono, where it did kind of need to do that. And it does have resource gathering behavior, which means it is currently heading straight for the one resource zone on the map. And aside from that, it's nothing amazing. It has the one bit of aesthetics it has, kind of, is some flags, and the fact that the radar on it spins, and the rest is just resource storage, RTGs, a single Hearthstone. I don't remember why that's there, honestly, but, yeah, it also has a breadboard, which is just a breadboard PID. So, nothing funny. This thing just harvested resources, did a jolly good job throughout the whole campaign, can store about 200,000, which means if you stack 5 of them, that's 1,000,000 smackers right there. Let's go back to where Rambot is. So next on the list is something that definitely doesn't have a positive kill-death ratio at all. So this is the cargo craft I was using, and it's like, again, it's nothing amazing, it's nothing special. It's simply called the Space Crystal, and it is a cargo box with slopes and wedges on the front so it goes fast, and a bunch of ion engines. It is super cheap, and it has a little strategic antenna on this. If you've been keeping up with channel content, you would have seen this in my campaign mistakes video, which is honestly just a rough guide to campaigning. This thing did perfectly well. This is our cargo craft. It just delivered cargo hither and thither, and here's a secret. You don't need to build a cargo craft that carries, like, enormous amounts of cargo. I am very much a fan of making cargo fleets. This thing is only about 9,100 materials. It's very cheap, and the more material it has on it, the more of them you can make. So it stores about 55,000. You get, like, a fleet of 10 of these guys. That's 550,000 right there, so it keeps adding up. And because they're super cheap, It adds up very nicely, and it's also quite fast, which is important for any kind of trade vehicle. Moves at about 119 meters per second, which seems to be an easy speed to reach with ion engines, and you can tell I made this in a hurry because its pitch, its roll, and its yaw control is all spin blocks rather than breadboard. This thing was never meant to see active combat, and it definitely didn't get blockaded and then run out the clock on an enemy vehicle in Steel Sovereigns. No. People would be very mad at me if I did that, and that's why I definitely didn't do that. But if I did do that, it would be because the enemy blockaded this. I didn't go looking for a fight with it. I mean, what? That never happened. So yeah, nothing amazing, nothing special. It's literally just... Let me shrink all the blocks for you. So, it is a big RPG, it's cargo, it is a battery, and that's literally it. Ion blocks on spin blocks. Very simple design, very robust. Spent like 99.99999 to the nth out of play, so really like not exciting either. So, now that's out of the way. The boring stuff out of the way. Now we're moving on to where things get a little bit more interesting. So, this is down here. Interesting, I really should go through this and like talk about the order in which I built them, but I don't remember, it's been a long time, so we're just going in reverse order. This thing basically never needed to be updated after I first made it. The Icewind should probably be talked about first. So this is the Icewind. This turned out to be a improvised in-a-hurry design that saved my ass multiple times in Steel Sovereigns, but also in Platono playtesting, because the premise is very simple. This thing is decently fast, it moves at about 151 meters per second, it constantly pitches up and down, so it's quite hard to hit, and it lobs large missiles at things. Specifically, it lobs 10 large missiles at things. The blue ones are EMP, and the red ones are high explosive. Like, literally, you know, it's nice and simple. And it's got a nice ammo compartment there, nice and compact, got a nice rubber insulated thing, which could have been like wedges instead, decent material storage, backup ammo storage there, and balloons to get itself up and out of the water. What else are we missing there? Like redundant jet engines, that certainly helps. What do we got here? We've got two small ones on the edges there, and we've got one big one in the middle. Lots of yaw control in there, more balloons over here. It's got smoke. It's got its fuel, and the whole thing... Funny thing about this was originally designed to be a bomber to be in Platono. For the Hawa Confederation, to be specific. It was just like, alright, this thing doesn't have this campaign does not have enough canoes, it's up to me, so I made it. I didn't like it that much, and I kind of shelved it, and then, as I was playing through Steel Sovereigns, like, the Space Force was, A, not working very well, and B, people didn't like it, myself included. So we needed an actual atmospheric aircraft in a big hurry, and I just happened to have the thing. Where the hell was it? I think it was... This is the one, I think. Yeah, nope. I think this was the one. No way was this the one. Was it? I don't remember. Anyway... yep, that might have been the thing I based it on, and I just modified it. Or maybe it was for Amphitasma. I don't remember. Anyway, this thing was adapted from a thing I had made, kind of through to the side, and then I just did a little bit of tweaking on it, and suddenly this was some of the most effective air support I've ever had in a campaign, bearing in mind this thing was not tested in Niter. It might not do so well in Niter, which is why I'm not going to use it in Niter. I'm going to make an entirely new fleet to take on Godly Niter. Yes, I am doing that. So yeah. It just broadsides things at long range with large missiles. It's very simple. And just squadrons of these things were able to take on craft much bigger and more expensive than they were. Just multiple times, just 1, 2, 3, up to about 5 of these things were able to take on capital ships that, like, out-materialed them twice over. So yeah, not so good on land though. Like, I've learned the hard way that if you have something that pitches up and down like this, especially... Did I goof? I did goof. The look-ahead time, well, no, the terrain protection was set to 10 seconds, so never mind. Yeah, anything that pitches up and down like this does not do well over terrain, unless you put it really high up, which is why I reserve the right to have high-altitude aircraft, if not spacecraft. So yeah, Icewind, long story short, it has won many a battle, and probably one of the better planes I've ever made, to be perfectly honest. Turns out keeping your distance and just lobbing missiles at something can work a lot of the time. So, there's that. And then, we have the variant, which I was actually further in the list. So here's the Icecurrent. So, the Icewind was made first, and then, as campaigns tend to go, I was like, oh bollocks, they're sending submarines at me, I need a decent torpedo bomber. So this thing was just as effective as the Icewind, it just lobs torpedoes instead of missiles. Very easy to convert. In fact, I have retrofitted these craft back and forth multiple times in the course of both playing through Steel Sovereigns and playing through my Plutono playtest. Like, by the way, descriptions and links to everything is in the description and the comments, because that's good. So yeah, these things, by the way, they cost almost exactly the same. The Icecurrent is slightly more expensive for some reason, I'm not sure why, and I completely forgot to mention that part of the reason for the success is because this is actually pretty decently armored as planes go. There's no space armor around the missile compartment, but around the AI compartment and around the ammunition, there is heavy armor beams, and really, this is actually a pretty decent armor configuration for something that, like, you just want to be somewhat survivable, and it needs to take the occasional hit, if not that often. So, just these heavy armor beams, marked in red so you can see them, and I've kind of broken my own rules. I have a personal rule that if you're gonna do heavy armor around something, you should do a full wrap of it. You can see I haven't done that. So, arguably, this would probably be even more tough if I had done that. I didn't do that because there's this cunning little thing here with this local weapon controller is inside this rubber compartment, and it's still controlling the missile controller, which means that this is safe from EMP, this is less so, but, like, it just kind of works well. I think this also has surge protectors somewhere, does it? It does! No, it doesn't. Where the hell? Does this not have any surge protectors? Wow! We're so lucky we didn't run into more EMP pack. This is why I'm saying that, like, this thing probably wouldn't do as well in Neater, because, like, an EMP pack would have a field day with this thing. But yeah, it just has torpedoes. It has torpedoes instead of missiles, basic as torpedoes, propeller, fins, APN, one-turn, signal processor, explosive warhead, torpedoes, sonar. Actually, hold on. Oh, I know why this is more expensive. It's because I had to make this slightly longer. So, you see it's got this extra kind of compartment here. Incidentally, I am a big fan these days of... This is also a reason for this being kind of a winning design, is because the whole height of the vehicle is used for missile. Like, it turns out that you can just do that with rail gantries. It's just like you can thread the missile through the entire height of the craft, and you've got a nice long missile, and it means that in order that the missile can be decently long, but the craft is decently flat. This whole thing is only 8 meters tall, which is part of the reason it's so evasive. It has such a small target profile. Like, I think it's Steel Sovereigns, and this possibly is also because of, like, the auto detection that campaign uses. Doesn't like detection. That even hit-scan weapons often had trouble hitting this thing. That's mostly probably auto-detection rather than this being evasive, but yeah. So yeah, again, winning design, clobbered a many ship. Although in Steel Sovereigns, I do have to say the missile interceptors are fired in big volleys, rather than, like, continuously, which probably did help these things just annihilate stuff that had that kind of defense, because it just launches... Fun fact about, like, using torpedo bombers like this, these orbiters. So let's spawn in... Doesn't need to be something much. Let's go with all vehicle types. Let's spawn in... What do we spawn in? Let's spawn in an Outlaw. Let's see what happens. So because this thing flies at about 151 meters per second, you'll notice these torpedoes spread out a lot. And you can imagine if you've got more than one of these things... like, they just spread out so much that, like, missile interceptors actually have kind of a problem hitting them all in a straight line. You get a nice grouping right here. Bam, bam, bam. Bam, bam, bam. And because of this thing orbiting, it tends to... The torpedoes also tend to congregate and hit consistently on the same side, which is very nice, actually. It also means that against frontsiders, they kind of turn their front away from they kind of turn their front away from it, because, like, away from the oncoming torpedoes, I should say, which is probably another reason why this craft did pretty well. It's because when you have a whole squad of them surrounding a larger ship and just dropping torpedoes into the water willy-nilly, they just keep repeatedly hitting the same side, and the thing is constantly trying to turn to either broadside or face them. It's just, you know, puts things out of position very well. So I'm a big fan of, like, fast broadsiding aircraft, and fast broadsiders in general, because Steel Sovereign's taught me, if nothing else, that you don't need giant ships, you don't need giant capital ships to beat a campaign, because multiple times, and partially it's because I realized the strengths and weaknesses of Steel Sovereign's craft and took advantage of that, but it's because, like, a squadron of medium-sized craft that are nice and specialized, this thing drops torpedoes and it doesn't have any other weapons, can essentially take advantage of the weaknesses of a larger, more generalized craft, and we did that multiple times in the campaign. So, jolly good campaign advice, if I say so myself, and worth doing again. So now, moving right along. What do we got here? So we've done the Icewind and the Icecurrent, very successful. This thing is the Palemark. If this looks familiar, this is because this is basically the exact same nuke I used on Warcrock in my other series, Bulwark Against the World. So, use the mass, use the drag. So this is literally just a little bit of alloy, steam jets, AI, it's got target prioritization there, it's got breadboard to control, do some nice thrust vectoring, and what else? We've got some resource storage, and we've also got smoke. So this is the thing I like to do on these nukes because it just ruins the accuracy of anything shooting at it. Nice cheap little thing, and it just flies and nukes things. So let's spawn in, what's the Jacob's Treehouse? I used these as kind of an emergency measure, like, when was it? Like, early on in Steel Sovereigns. Not particularly early, but not late either. Probably in the first third, so to speak. As a stopgap measure, because, like, a swarm of nukes actually is a bit of an equalizer. It can just do heavy damage. In this case, it blew the bow off this thing. I don't remember what was in the bow of this thing, but it's gone now. Oh, look at the little weather vane up there. That's so cute. But anyway, the Palemark was used briefly, and yeah, the big failed nuclear raid on an enemy HQ, actually. And the reason that didn't work is because the nukes went in, and they did some damage, and then because it was a resource zone and a base, all that damage was immediately repaired. So, note to self, myself and you watching, wow, we actually really ruined this thing's steez. How did this happen? The thing's rolling over. Huh, one nuke is actually quite helpful. But anyway, like, I think suicide craft are actually best used against a craft which are kind of like caught out in the open, so to speak. So you've got a large craft, and you're up against a wall, and you just need to effectively, like, cripple it so the rest of your craft can kind of deal with it. If they're sitting on, like, a base or something like that has repair tentacles, they're just going to repair all the damage your nukes have done, and that's not very good. Which possibly also means that nukes aren't a very good idea against the Twin Guard, because naturally they will probably go for the wrong target. But yeah, Palemark, there's, like, nothing amazing about it, so to speak. It's just a nice amphibious nuke. It can hit submarines, by the way, and I should probably demonstrate that. Where is the thing? Where's the... what's it called again? The Pequod. There's the Pequod. And if I spawn this in... this is what I'm very fond of using nukes which are fully amphibious, because it's nice and cost-effective. It means that you can just use them against subs, you can use them against anything else. I really hope this thing does... uh-oh. I might not ever have rigged this thing to be able to do subs. That might have been my bad. Let's see, minimum altitude above water is that. Let's see if that helps. That did help. Whoops, looks like you bonked yourself onto the ground. That sucks. Well then. Uh-oh. Oh no, please don't let the Pequod kill this thing. That's going to be very embarrassing. Yay! Alright, so I never used the Palemark against submarines. But just with a little bit of an adjustment, I could have, as it turns out. I don't know why I didn't do that. I did that later with a different variant of basically the same nuke, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Alright, oh, here we go, the Snowboarder. In which case, I must probably head over to... The Snowboarder on its own was really only spawned on its own, like, briefly in the campaign, so to speak. What I actually ended up using throughout the whole damn campaign was this thing in a squadron. So the Snowboarder was my go-to air superiority fighter because my little space laser craft, the Winter Beam, which we'll get to probably later, didn't work very well. Too little damage, too inaccurate, so I needed a proper air superiority fighter. This thing's quite expensive, so they're about, how much are they? Like, what's 80,000 divided, 180,000 divided by 250? They're about 80,000 a pop, so where is it? Yeah, about 90,000 a pop, actually. My math is good. So the squadron leader has these blue markings, and then the other one, well, doesn't, and it's Tolroth. I try to remember to name my AIs like after patrons, by the way. That is a Patreon perk, silver tier and above. And Airman Tolroth is demonstrated beautiful multitasking by flying both of these things at once. That's definitely not me covering up the fact that I keep forgetting to rename the AIs of these things. So what makes this thing special? Well, it just did a damn good job. It's like a nice, versatile, anti-flying thing platform. So if we look here, what do we got here? Well, for one thing, decos. The thing has possibly got a bit too much. It's expensive because it has missiles. What we ended up with towards the end was incendiary missiles. And what is it? A mixture of incendiary and explosive. Quite a late upgrade. It, like, I was using various different combinations throughout the whole damn campaign, honestly. Steel Sovereigns in particular. And the occasional upgrade in Plutono testing. But yeah, it fires, it's got two 30mm guns. One side is, tell me that isn't actually, wow, I never updated this. At least I don't think so. So yeah, Squash Head does not work at this gauge. Heat does. But yeah, and AP Frag. So, AP Frag is okay for this. I swear I changed this to be actual heat. I might have only done that in, like, campaign designs. But yeah, I never managed that. It has lasers. In particular, it has, this whole mess of, like, decently large lasers, actually. Large-ish. 1Q lasers, and these things, I think, really were the main weaponry of this. This did a lot of damage. Or maybe it was the missiles, actually. Yeah, because the missiles did great against anything but that the APS and lasers managed to cripple. Honestly, I like these things. I used them a lot. They did a very good job at at fly sorting, basically. Anything small and flying and annoying, the Snowboarder was able to take it on and kill it, and I did test it against the flying squirrel. So, if we do that, and if we sit on that, this thing should be able to take on a flying squirrel squad. Absolutely no problemo. Let's see here. If it doesn't, I'm gonna cry. Bearing in mind a Snowboarder squadron is... Let's spawn in 2 squadrons of flying squirrels. Let's see how this does against an actual meter design. So the thing is very evasive. It's damn fast. 100... Well, not as fast as a jet fighter could be, I suppose. But yeah, see, that laser does great work. Like, hit scan weapons... Oh, wow. Was that friendly fire? What the hell happened there? What happened to you? Aha, you ran straight into stuff, didn't you? Alright, so one of the reasons these things have have garnered a reputation in the campaign for driving like absolute mad. I actually for a long time had like enemy collision avoidance turned off on them, just because I wanted them to fly danger close and like get right up into dogfighting range with whatever it is they were fighting. Which, speaking of, these things are damn uncontrollable. I literally can't turn them off because they have 2 behaviors. Let's see. Did I use ACBs for this, or did I use something else? Did I use breadboard for this? Do we have a breadboard? We do have a breadboard. What's in here? That's just controlling the thing. I couldn't be bothered to figure out how to do this with breadboard. Instead, we've got some lovely ACBs in here. Basically, if the enemy target is small or moving fast, the thing will try and hover above it, and if it's big or not moving, it will, like, do attack runs at it. So the reason for that is because this guy is not very durable. It basically has no armor to speak of. This is not like the Icewinds. You'll see it kind of has pole armor there, which is the kind of armor you use when it's like you need an air gap, you need a token air gap, but you also kind of need as much block health as you can, because that's all you got, really. And this thing would be very vulnerable to EMP, like, ooh, it's got some surge protectors in the front there, it's got a little ammo thingy over there. I remember this ammo box was like a last second edition. It's like, oh crap, I've got so much weapons on this, I need to do something else with it. I think, what did I end up... I think early versions of the Snowboarders actually didn't... It was... What did I tack on later? I think it was the lasers I added on later, rather than the APS. Like, I'd need to go back and rewatch Steel Sovereigns for this, but I definitely upgunned these things at some point. They had less gun, like, less weaponry, and then I added a lot more, and made them, like... What do people describe? At least one commenter saying that this looks like a fat YF... 29 or something? I forget the designation. Anyway, this is a chunky jet fighter for sure. And very glass cannony. You'll notice there's no wood in here, so to speak, but like very glass cannony all the same. Where was I going with this? Yeah, and friggin' uncontrollable. These things, just like the Icewinds, because they pitch up and down so much, they collided with the land a lot. So, honestly, like, next jet fighter I make, I'm gonna try and make it way more, like, skittish over land. And probably also going to have turreted lasers on it, because the APS is cool. But yeah, probably just 30mm. I have to choose lasers, APS, missiles, pick any two of them, because I think all three just means that this was quite an expensive asset to lose if it ran up against something that it couldn't fight, or if it took damage, which it did a lot. In fact, weirdly enough, there were what I suspect to be ground attack planes in Steel Sovereigns, which, like, have particle cannons in the nose. They tended to do a number on these guys, so yeah. But very good design, like, very evasive. Like, that's probably its best features. Just, it pitches up and down like crazy, and it just, you know, wiped out 2 squadrons of flying squirrels with basically no sweat. Did take some damage. But yeah, decent, damn good air superiority fighter. I should probably... Next air superiority fighter I make, I need to keep the performance while lowering the cost and size. So, Snowboarder, alright, so before we talk about the WetFrost, we need to talk about... Where is the Frost? Here's the Frost. So, this is the first boot. Turns out that the Pale Fleet relied a lot on aircraft, and in the initial stages, spacecraft, and we will get to that. So, the Frost is a starter boat. That's all it's supposed to do. It is damn cheap. It is 33,000, well, just shy of 34,000 materials. It used to be cheaper. To show you just how little armor this is literally 2 layers of wood, some extra armor around the ammo storage, just kind of token alloy beams around the AI. So this is very, very minimalist. Like, really, this thing is like... You know, you sneeze at this thing wrong, and it's only supposed to take on, like, deep water guard and equivalent, like, difficulty enemies. This thing was never designed to punch, like, to fight more dangerous craft, and it did end up doing that anyway, because Steel Sovereigns, the initial stages of it, you are very, very low on resources, and I was up against a wall and also taking a lot of damage, so... This is one of the first, I think, actual made-for-campaign craft in which I duct-taped a little angry face on, so to speak, the eyes and the teeth, which is just an aesthetic thing I really like. It gives a ship a lot of personality and fits into my whole war canoe theme. And I would be remiss if I didn't talk about... Well, firstly, let's talk about the armament. It is literally 8 medium-sized missiles, nothing amazing. And let's see, explosive, it's got, yeah, explosive and EMP, same missile deco, nothing amazing there. We got a tiny little AI compartment, we got a not incredibly efficient engine because this thing needs to be small and compact, basic repair tentacle stuff, and decoys in the back. This is important. So, this kind of worked. What happened here. So, if we pause that, you'll see here is a... What is that? That's a radar decoy, and this is a heat decoy. This thing was actually pretty decent against... Let's spawn in... What should we spawn in? The flying squirrels are going to murder this thing, so we're not going to do that. Let's spawn in way too many dusters. 1, 2, 3, 4 dusters. So this is the kind of thing it was. The Frost was designed to fight. It's just a whole, just like small starter stuff, like starter enemy stuff. So definitely not going to be useful in every campaign, but it does a terrible. It does terrible things to little starter planes like this. Eats dusters for breakfast, and there was a lot of stuff in Steel Sovereigns, which is roughly equivalent to the dusters. Just small little aircraft. So you see these things are kind of wiggle, 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 having a lot of trouble hitting, overshot, missed, and that's the power of a spinny decoy. I am very fond of them. They are tremendously efficient at just making missiles, well, miss, so long as they're radar-guided or infrared. The moment the remote-guided missiles come out to play, that's not going to help you very much. It also has a very token little superstructure here, a little shelter for Rambot, a little mast thingy here, so actually, technically, this thing has a superstructure. It also goes damn fast, so speed is key. So top speed is about 63 meters per second there. I have seen it do faster. This is a hydrofoil, by the way. It has custom rudders there that is cranked up to maximum angle, and all the propulsion is above water, and the reason for that is this thing has basically no sonar signature. So where is the sonar signature? It's basically nothing. It is, I think now that it's stopped moving, like, when it's, like, going full tilt, it varies between, like, yeah, it's basically nothing at all. It's out of the water completely, because that is a very cheap way of making this thing torpedo-proof. And it's pretty useless against submarines. In fact, it's completely useless against submarines. And one particular thing I did, and I don't remember if I did this in Steel Sovereigns or through my Platono playtest, is I kind of very quickly improvised a fly swatting device. So fly swatting in campaigns is very important. I think it's a good personal rule. It's like every craft you have that's not ultra specialized should have some kind of hit-scan weapon on it, even if it's a really token multi-purpose laser. So Tolroth, again, multitasking. Tolroth is like driving the ship and also the planes. Spawn in a duster, pretending the duster is something that we can't really hit. That little laser just goes zap zap, and it should be able to fly swat anything that is in a death spiral, because death spiraling planes are my kryptonite. So there we go, we managed to dink that, and let's see here, missed. Oh no, not missed. So that spinny decoy is not actually good enough. I could do a much better job there. Thankfully, we are going to kill this duster. So that is the sole reason for that little laser. This thing actually might be death spiraling now. Yep, it might be. But yeah, so just even a small laser like that can mean the difference between being stuck staring at something for ages and actually killing it. So the Frost starting concept, really, honestly, if I wanted this thing to be better, I would put some kind of anti-submarine thing on it, which brings us to its somewhat less successful younger brother. Where the hell did I put it? The WetFrost. There we go. I don't know why. I think I updated the other thing first. So the WetFrost is exactly the same, except the missiles are turned around and they are torpedoes. So, and slightly different deco. So if we spawn in, well, let's spawn in a Sea Viper or something. So the laser still goes pew pew pew, but it fires torpedoes instead. This happened in Platono testing. I don't remember which episode it is, so you're gonna have to watch them all. But yeah, I just suddenly realized, oh crap, I can't afford an Icecurrent. I can't afford my torpedo bombers, which are very effective. So we're gonna have to do something else now. Please lock onto this little guy. Uh-oh, this guy. Ooh. Oh, there we go. Looks like somebody dipped their toe in the water too much. This is a canoe! Look at that! It's a double-hulled little canoe. I'm so proud. But anyway, this thing failed miserably because the submarine it was designed to face, I've forgotten what it was, one of the Sewol Republic's designs, was pretty much torpedo-proof, at least against this thing. so it did not end well. It was not a success. But it is still in the active service folder because, like, in a different situation against, like, I don't know, let's, where's the thing? I think, where's the Pequod? I think that's a medium design, right? Yes, it is. So, how bad could this go? I think the Pequod might struggle to hit this thing simply because, like, it's almost completely out of the water. Although, hell, what do I know? Let's see, then. Can this thing handle a Pequod? I'm curious now. I'm so curious. Where is the Pequod? Here's the thing. When you follow a torpedo, suddenly it's like... you realize just how slow everything is. There we go. Okay, yep, this thing can handle a Pequod. Still a decent starting craft. Jolly good. And AI dead. Pequod is your wake-up call to submarines being like, hello! Did you remember that submarines exist? Okay, I feel better now about, I feel better now against the WetFrost. Okay, now we get into the thing that people might not like at all. So this is the Hailstone. This is the one successful little space bomber from the Steel Sovereigns campaign. I had a whole variety of these, and they sucked. They sucked in more ways than one. They were cheesy, and they were tedious, and they were damage inefficient, and I have learned my lesson. Apologies. Please go watch the rest of Steel Sovereigns. I did notice the views dropped after the second episode because people were not in the mood to watch Space Cheese. And I get it. So yeah, this is the one successful one simply because A, laser-guided missiles, immune to being distracted. I just realized that I could have done the oh no, I couldn't have done the thing. So, this thing has problems. It's not especially accurate, but, you know, it's just... Actually, yeah, this thing went through, like, a lot of iterations. I think, actually, yeah, these incendiary missiles are kind of new. This thing was using explosives for the longest time. Yeah, possibly it was just to set things on fire when Platono testing, actually, because I stopped using these things in Steel Sovereigns at least a third of the way through, because, like, I heard the call of the people, and also because they weren't working very well. Steam jets are very material hungry, and I was on a very strict budget. It turns out, efficient custom jets are way more material efficient than even tiny steam jets like this. Admittedly, I have a lot of them, and it's all on spin blocks, and honestly, we could have just had fewer steam jets, and then just, you know, had a little bit of a breadboard just to maneuver them. But this thing did a darn good service. This is a good fallback option, assuming you have money to keep it running. It did better in Platono testing, actually, than in Steel Sovereigns. So if you got something like not good against small targets, but if we have... Let's spawn in the Scoundrel. It's also damn cheap. Wooden spacecraft are darn cheap. So laser-guided missiles, it is my patented, not really, design of both laser designators and beam riders, which is nice and accurate. So it just hits things from above, sets them on fire, at least these days it does, and it's like basically impossible to hit it unless you've remembered to bring along your anti-space weapons. Like, in my defense, it's not that difficult to make an anti-spacecraft weapon. It's just that most campaign designs, both in Neater and outside of Neater, don't do that. Also, one of the reasons laser-guided missiles are fun is because they still track things when they're underwater, and so when they miss, they come back around for another go, and that's really funny. So yeah, that's the Hailstone. It is the one successful space bomber I made for Steel Sovereigns, and arguably, like, the one that saw service the longest. It saw some service there. Quite handy for, like, running over and, like, sniping resource gatherers as well, because of the EMP on it. And damn fast, so 149 meters per second, very cheap, very effective. It's just that nobody wants to see things like this, I guess. Like, you know, it's not that fun watching something be bombed from space for ages, because this thing does miss a lot. Okay, so enough about the Hailstone. No one likes the Hailstone. Like, I kind of like the Hailstone, but I get why other people don't. And then, oh boy, we have the Husky. Steel Sovereigns was full of moments was like, oh gods, I need a thing and I need it in a hurry. So this is the attempt, the second attempt actually, to build a tank for Steel Sovereigns, because actually, we're on Neater now, just for, I don't know, giggles. Possibly should have spawned in the Steel Sovereigns map, but oh well. This thing, I tried to make a tank. These Azzy-jets you see were once like Azzy tracks, so to speak, because I like a maneuverable thing. And yeah, it's not technically built well. Anyone who knows how to make a tank or even a hover tank will tell you immediately this thing kind of sucks. Like, it is entirely made of alloy, which is not efficient armor, but it does mean it's nice and light. What else? It has a deck gun with just a whole bunch of like, oh boy, it's autoloader only. Please forgive me. Please forgive me, APS gurus. But yeah, the whole idea with this is just I was in deep, deep doo-doo. I needed stuff that could fight over land as well as over water. I was in a big hurry, and so I slapped this thing together, and as a tank, it was a complete failure. It could not do what I wanted it to, but you know what they say? If it doesn't work, make it fly. And this thing does. So 118 meters per second, it can fly over water, it can fly over land, and it just drops 333mm hash shells on it. I should probably show you what kind of shells it uses. It's everyone's favorite, and by everyone I mean I don't remember who likes this. So 333mm, it fits perfectly into a 1 meter loader. It is just a chunky squash hit. Some people, I have been told that this shell is not very good. It works perfectly fine for me because it fits in a 1 meter loader and it has a decent payload to it. So what can this thing fight? Let's find a 95 thing. Let's throw the contraband at it. This thing will take on the contraband just fine. So it just flies, danger close. And honestly, the contraband probably isn't the best target for this thing, because it's mostly made of wood. Never mind, it'll probably do fine. And actually the contraband is a good target because the Husky is damn fast and has missile interceptors on it. Uses custom jets, so nice dense power capabilities. And it's just going to shoot the contraband. So yeah, this is kind of what the Husky was like really good at. It's just anything that was bad at shooting a fast target, it just kind of rushed down. This is essentially a hash gun that flies and rushes something down and shoots it. And it did pretty well. And it did pretty well against the tanks that Steel Sovereigns had, because I noticed they really went heavy on the heavy armor and were very light on the spore liner. So again, this is a very specialized craft, made in a big hurry, and I think it just shot... Yep, it shot off the missile thing. Well done, Husky. And again, very derpy. These things didn't kill themselves on land very often, because you'll notice I put rubber in the very strategic place of underneath it. These things tended to run into each other, so definitely not my best design. Its service was adequate, not amazing. If I had more time and wasn't in a blind panic and blind rush, I would have done a better job. But for some reason, like, I am happy that the thing does, weirdly enough, vibe like a silly dog. I think it's just the color palette and the derpy eyes on it, and the fact that it runs around all willy-nilly. You can almost imagine it barking. Actually, the barking is the guns going off. And the guns just go bang bang. Honestly, an Onyx Watchcraft would probably be a better example of this. If I spawn in a Bastion, will we die immediately? We probably won't. So again, I am warming up to the idea of deck guns in certain situations. And by the way, this thing does not have up thrusters or anything like that. It is like purely pitch control. So this is actually a plane in disguise. I think it's really doing a number on the Bastion. It kinda is. Well, not really. Bastion is a tough cookie. Oh. Right, so not the most evasive thing I've ever made, but like at least it is tanky enough to take one Bastion shot. So yeah, I've probably spent enough time on the, on the Husky. I definitely didn't forget what it's called. This thing actually would be a real menace against the Onyx Watch, especially in packs. And you missed. Sucks to be you. Detection is bad, I do have to say. Yep, this thing's clobbering a Bastion, even though I think this thing costs as much as 3 Bastions, so I don't get to pat myself on the back for that. So yeah, fun fact, this initial recording went way too damn long, so I'm gonna have to split up this post-action report into 2 parts. So no worries, part 2 is coming soon, where we can actually get into some of the bigger and more interesting stuff that exists in the Pale Fleet, and the more later designs, and you can tell as I went through building this fleet, as I was playing through Steel Sovereigns and playtesting Plutano, that I got more rushed, more panicked, but also I got better at building in this particular style, so that's neat. So stay tuned for part 2. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe if you want to see more videos like this. Support me on Patreon or YouTube membership if you like. It really helps, and there's fun perks in it for you, like at the lowest tier, access to a Patreon exclusive Discord, and at the highest tier, I'll even build stuff for you, or draw art for you. That works as well. And do check out my other channels on my Twitch. There's a VOD channel, there's a extra video games channel, there's an extra video games VOD channel, and an art VOD channel. Did I mention the Twitch? I think I did. Well, I mentioned it again. That means you have to go check it out twice. Haha! In any case, have a good one, whatever one it happens to be, and I'll see you next time in From the Depths. Farewell! I don't know what facial expression the Frost actually has. I'm assuming trepidation because it knows how badly armored it is.